Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Obduction. As soon as my mouse comes back here. We're going to see if this great big yellow bucket here, which looks like it came off of some kind of construction equipment, is an elevator, it appears to be. You're probably aware that this game was on Kickstarter and succeeded, obviously. One of the pledge tiers was the backer reward was to get an item of your design placed into the game, and this is where a whole bunch of them ended up. There's a configuration flag somewhere in the game that says whether or not to show when you're looking at a backer reward item. I've got that turned off because it's annoying. It doesn't really help immersion. But most of the stuff in this junkyard that's not the standard barrels we see everywhere is probably a backer reward item. And the thought is that as people swapped in over the years here to Hunrath, everything with them was swapped. So like we came in with that half picnic table and that lantern, for example. So all that stuff would get rounded up and brought here, and the less useful stuff would end up top. So what we need to do here is open up a shortcut. But first we need to get power to this thing. Don't know if I've ever been that way before. This is the back of that power distribution cabinet, so let's pop this open. In real life, you don't do this. And this one here is able to garage and downtown, which are the two things that weren't running. Also, the ramp, I think, is also powered from here, from the garage. And if we were to look at the back of the panel now, lots more stuff would be lit up. Let's back away from that slowly for the moment and come back later. And explore this area here. There's a heater hanging on the ceiling, a garage door opener, a security camera, all kinds of mechanics tools and stuff. I'm surprised CW hasn't confiscated all those and taken them to his workshop. But this thing just screams 1950s to me for some bizarre reason. It could be 60s. Yeah, the newest plate here is 57. 56. Yeah, so this thing just screams 50s, early 60s to me. And there are license plates. Looks like a... Actually, the numbers might be random. I don't recognize those numbers from last time. It has been a while. And that air eye is drawing our attention over here to this phone booth, where there's a rotary phone with letters, but no handset. I'm sure there's no telephone exchange here in Hunrath, so I'm sure it's not going to do anything. So did he bend all those wrenches somehow? The cart tipped over. Are you in trouble? Need help? Call 155-HELP-YOU. And it gives a new alphabetic phone number and its translation into real numbers. We can help. Can we? Billum and Bail law offices. So that's kind of like the other law firm joke of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Flip this over, and there's an ad for the Manhole, which I believe is Cyan World's first game. You scare me. And I believe that was updated somewhat in the patch because the nodes look different than they used to. Worksheet Multipurpose Villein Control Panel Interface. This is the control panel that the Villein have supplied for our use. Although they are able to control their system via vocalizations, they have provided these control panels for other species to have limited access and control. If you have trouble, please find Noah? Roa? Something like that for help. Remember, the Villein numbering system is base 4. Drag from one blob to another to form Villein digits. Drag between blobs to disconnect. Standard panel has 5 digits, but single digit panels are also used. Use only the first digit to simulate a 1-digit panel, 0 through 3. All panels will autocorrect for invalid entries. And once we get to the Villein world from Array, we start finding control panels that look like this. So if you enter numbers onto this cash register here, it shows what those numbers do. Alright, and what you can do here is go to Load Game and hit this copy button. And now there's a new save game. And as soon as my mouse gets back, there we go. That way, if you need to come back and see what a number looks like that you might discover later on in the game, you have a save point right here. Now, I'm not going to explain all this at this point. This is, like the note said, this is base 4. And the numbers are 1, 2, and 3. And then for 4, you repeat the sequence up here. So that would be 2. 2 times 4. Actually, this... Hang on a second. 5... No, wait. Yeah. So I have a feeling I'm going to need to break this down into an external video or a non-gameplay video to explain how exactly this works. But just know that if you need to come across a number later, you can just come type that number in here. But we also saw something that looked like a 15 in Farley's house. I think it was here. And it looks like a number 15. So let's see what this translates to. And that gives me a 3-digit code of 406. Did we need a 3-digit code somewhere? Yes, we did. We need a 3-digit code for that green building door thing at the base of that railcar tower thing stuck in the rock there. That thing right above that red boxcar. So that might be the combination for that door there. So I think that's going to be our next test, is to see if that does anything. Mula Cola, I'm told, is the Mist Online Uru Live Again project, another project by Cyan Worlds. Uru Live got discontinued due to lack of interest, and there was interest again, so they brought it back, and then that got discontinued. So what's the fastest way up here? I think we have to go all the way back to Farley's house. No, we don't. We need to go up there. Alright, and we are in the mayor's office. Spoiler alert. We find that out fairly quickly once we're in here. But the door is now open. And we are behind the tree here. There's the gate to the tree. It looks like there's a way to get there from inside the box, inside the house. Water tower in town here. And if we go back in and go across the room, there's this other door here. Which takes us out behind the sphere. So we now can get onto the wall without having to mess around with the very confusing dome teleportation. We see a list of mayors, starting with Luther Roscoe. Karl Hunrath was mayor for about 10,000 units. I'm assuming those are days. For some definition of day. Then John Farley was mayor somewhat, sort of like 3,000 days, give or take a few. Benjamin Sims for another 3,000. Then Carolyn Farley for about, 45, 30 days. So I'm guessing she had to fill in for during an election season or something, or she decided she didn't like it or something. It never really says. And then the current guy, Josef Peter Janssen, 1975 AH to present. Campaign signs there. More campaign signs here. A way to watch the tree from here. And there's definitely something downstairs. And here's an elevator. I'm going to guess that there's another control panel that we need to find with another combination on it. That will get us in there. Mr. Mayor, at your behest, here is the information pertaining to the bleeder, its history, and some of the engineering behind it. The Bleeder project was designed and built at the request of Mayor Sims to collect and dissipate the ever-increasing power in the entire ecosystem. Mayor Sims was reluctant to allow the system to come to fruition, as he and others had become suspicious of Mayor Farley's death. He believed that, without knowing more precisely what would happen to the cell wall at fruition, it was ill-advised to allow it to possibly open, thus allowing what might be outside in and what might be inside out. The system has the capacity to throttle all 4 connected worlds. The idea, as you are well aware, is to suppress the ecosystem power and thus prevent or inhibit full maturity of the trees. It was postulated, and since became apparent, that this suppression will keep whatever unknown maturity process from happening and grant us direct control over tree fruition. And that's that thing floating out in the water. The rate of dissipation is sensed and regulated automatically. The power is collected through Villein engineered extruded cables that attach directly to the dome membrane. When the maximum power level is exceeded, the dissipation phase is triggered, creating an electrical charge followed by a discharge into the water. Through electrolysis, an amount of hydrogen and oxygen is generated. We capture some of these elements for our own use, but the great majority is released into our atmosphere. This gassing might be a cause for concern were it not for the ecosystem's ability to filter and maintain our atmosphere at near ideal levels. The excess H and O content and pressure generated by the process is rebalanced quickly by the membrane. And as you know, we discourage swimming when the bleeder is operational. Regards, CW. Alright, that thing out back is the bleeder. Since he pumped the water out of the tree roots, the trees aren't really doing anything useful. And so we haven't actually seen the bleeder in operation. American flag, Japanese flag, and a something else flag. I don't know. There's a license plate from Iowa. Another warning about this thing. There's a door stop labeled for someone, may all your doors stay open. That's got to be a back reward item. The pen set, probably not. There's a compass. And notice there's an O instead of a W. That suggests to me that it's come out of a German-speaking country where the word for west is Oest, I think. Or isn't? I think so. Here's another compass. This one with a W, I think. And if we flip it over, it's labeled Texas. That might be a clue for something later. Let's see what's in this book. And then we'll probably cut the video after this book here. 17125AH, Special Council Session 2, or 11. Yeah, 11. Discussed final approval of Farley's plan with regard to the imminent attack. The full council vote was unanimous, and I gave my final approval. Preparation update. Farley says that tunneling is almost complete. Tham informs us that the Villein just completed their construction and have started testing. Next day, Special Council Session 12. No one attended. I will inquire as to reason for their absence. Next day, it appears that council members feel we're having too many meetings. Yeah, daily for 12 days, that's quite a few meetings. Since the plan has been approved, perhaps we can reduce our meetings to every 2 days for now. While I was asking Cecil about his absence, I also inquired about securing the tower area. Special Council Session 13 the next day. Cecil will provide a new key code for the lower lock in the next few days. Cecil was concerned about any survivors not having access, so it was decided that we would conceal the code in Farley's house and give the residents the location as they were being chambered. I also had him change the upper tower access code. A clue to that code has been placed under the direction of our first mayor. I have decided to bring some of the more important mayor's logs with me for chambering, specifically the initial Hunrath log, and then logs that document the history of our conflict with the Mofang. I would think that we would have an extra chamber available for historic documents. Chamber. Special Council Session 14. Only Tham attended. He informed me that because of the dire circumstances, the others were either extremely busy or not inclined to have long discussions about the situation. I told him I would suspend the regular special council sessions and we would simply meet as need arose. Good. Next day, I paid a visit to Farley today. I asked her to check on the availability of a chamber for the documents. Well, 4 days later, I've spent the last few days collecting documents. I've divided them into two categories, chambered and vaulted. The vaulted are less important, but obviously worth making an effort to save. They can be moved into Farley's vault area. The vaulted category will also include any books we've managed to collect through the years. With less than a week remaining before chambering begins, the population is tense. We've had several town hall meetings to try to answer any questions, but the realities of the current situation make it difficult to assuage fears. Farley informed me that there is one final confirmation from Shavar. If Farley doesn't hear from her by the end of 17141, then there is no turning back. There's an odd justice to Farley's plan, and that whatever the Mofang something or other send to kill us will be returned to them. Council session 15, a couple days later. Special meeting was called to go over the plans for the final time. Farley had several instruction sheets to distribute. The Mofang weapon illustration, a list of all souls that will be used as the basis for the chambering manifest, and a thorough summary of the battle plans. These will be distributed as necessary. No word from Shavar. Farley tells me that there will be at least one chamber available for historic documents. Any other chambers will be loaded with emergency provisions and medications in case either Hunrath or Murray are completely destroyed. No word from Shavar. No word from Shavar. Death is on our doorstep. And something very uncomplimentary about the Mofang. And then I am leaving to be chambered. The journal will remain here to inform any future souls of what our last days were like. Okay, not a happy journal. Not a journal I can actually, put down. But something about the direction of our first mayor stuck out in blue writing. Our first mayor was Luther Roscoe, and this box here is labeled Roscoe. The word under here was Texas, and it's sitting next to a license plate. So if we go down and look at Texas's license plate in the garage area, let me find Texas here. There it is, PV 7932. And that air eye beetle was drawing our attention to the phone booth, or phone box if you're English, over here on the other side of the room. And that gives us the translation for PV, Papa Victor, becomes 78. Giving us a code of 787932. Okay. So now we need to figure out how to get up there, and I think the other side of the wall is our next target here. Our next goal. But we will do that in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you then.